Hello again, everyone. It's Nick here again with Nick's 80s hard rock CD collections. What we've looked at so far is Faster Pussycat, Poison, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, LA Guns, Guns N' Roses, and Cinderella. Now we're going to look at a band that came from Europe. Well, I've already given it away. The band's called Europe. So, they actually came from Sweden. So, yeah, it's a bit more specific. They came from Sweden, this band, and so there's a picture of them there. Now, these guys actually started off in 1979. Believe it or not, a lot of people just think that they're purely 80s band, which they are obviously, but yeah, they started off in 1979, and it was in 1982 that they actually won some Swedish musical competition award, and and that's how they got noticed. So they did release two albums before this one, which I'll talk about. But I don't have them, and they're really hard to get, well, especially in Australia. So I've been trying to find them. I just cannot find them. I'll probably have to buy them overseas or something. But anyway, so they released two albums, and they did get quite good reviews. But it wasn't until that the album, The Final Countdown, this one here. Now, this was released in 1986. Now, this album just, broke the band into superstardom. Now, as I said, the album's called The Final Countdown. Now, we all know the song. It's got that classic keyboard riff at the start that you just know is Europe. And even if you don't know the band Europe, you do recognise that song. It was just a massive song. And Europe have actually sold over 25 million albums worldwide up to this date. So they've done very well for themselves, especially from a band from Sweden who broke into the American market and conquered the American market. This album alone sold 15 million copies just by itself. So, I mean, it's a very good achievement for a non-American band, and because it's very hard for a non-American band to break into the American into the American charts. Obviously Europe have done it, and as I talked about in previous video, Def Leppard, they definitely did it. So if you got the talent, then you can break into the American market, which these guys did. Yeah, so 1986. Now, that, as I said, massive album, huge album. They had obviously The Final Countdown, the song that was just huge, went number one pretty much everywhere. They had other hit singles called Rock the Night and Carrie. That's a slow sort of ballad type song. Now I'll just go through the band members. Okay, so on the far left is the guitarist, and his name is John Norum. Next to him is the drummer, Ian McLaughlin. And in the middle there is Joey Tempest, the lead singer. Next to him is Mick McCarley, I think you pronounce it. He's a keyboardist. And on the end there is the bass guitarist, John Levin. So there they are. Yeah, so now with these guys actually toured with Def Leppard, so that would have helped the band considerably. So there's a Final Countdown, and look, it's a very melodic album. Yeah, it's hard rock, but it's very melodic. Now, I was actually reading an interview with John Norum, the guitarist, the one first on the left there, and he was a bit unhappy with this album because it didn't feature enough guitar work, which I can understand in a way because I've listened to it plenty of times. And there is guitar in it, don't get me wrong, but it seems to be turned down or something, I don't know. But there's more keyboards than guitar, if anything. I think they got the mix, in regards to mixing this album, that they turned up the keyboards a bit too high, I reckon. It's still great, don't get me wrong, and there's still guitars, but I can understand where John's coming from. The guitars don't sort of balance out with the keyboards. Now, a classic example of a band with guitar and keyboards is Bon Jovi. Now, they do it perfectly, obviously, but yeah, so it's a very melodic, very keyboard-orientated album. But as I said, it's still got guitars in it, so that's the main thing. So there we go, the Final Countdown, huge, brilliant. Now we move on to their next album, which went multi-platinum as well, this album. It's called Out of This World. There we go. Now, in regards, as I said, multi-platinum album. In regards to this album, it actually featured a new guitarist. Now, the new guitarist is that guy there. He's a bit hard to see. His name is Key Marcello. Now, the reason why the old guitarist left was because, as I just mentioned to you, he actually felt that the band was going into a poppy sort of sound, too poppy. It wasn't hard enough, the Final Countdown album. So he left, and Key Marcello, he joined the band for this album, Out of This World. Now, this is more, you hear much more guitar on this album, and it's still got the keyboards as well. So it's exactly the same lineup, it's just got Key Marcello, there he is there, on guitars. So, and yeah, hugely successful album again, this one, and they had a lot of, they had more, they seem to have more hit singles on this album than the other one. Superstitious, Let the Good Times Rock, Open Your Heart, what's the other one? Sign of the Times. So, and I actually prefer this album compared to the Final Countdown. Don't get me wrong, I love the Final Countdown album, brilliant album. But this one, I know it has more substance to it. Maybe it's because of the mix. It's better even out in regards to the mix. But yeah, I actually prefer this a bit over the Final Countdown. So yeah, and this was released in 1988, and yep, did brilliantly. They toured with Def Leppard and all that, and we're selling out arenas and stadiums. So that's Out of This World, the album. Now, the next album is called Prisoners in Paradise. This one here, and it had exactly the same lineup as the previous album. Now, this was released in 1991. So the 90s, I keep repeating myself. I'm sorry, I keep repeating myself. Change of the music scene. And this album, unfortunately, didn't do much at all. It didn't do anything in the American market. The only single that they released was called All or Nothing, which is a great song, and that was released in England. I think it reached number 24 or 25 in the charts in England, but that was it. It didn't receive any gold status or platinum album sales status. But it's a good solid album. I wouldn't say it's absolutely brilliant, but it's not bad either. It's just a good hard rocky melodic album, and yeah. So Prisoners in Paradise. And I actually just picked this up probably about a month or two ago. I got it. I got it through eBay, so I'm glad I got this one, because I did have it years and years ago, but I lost it. So yeah, but now since this album, Europe they've released other albums as well, but they haven't had any any success compared to these two. Now, I've been trying to get hold of these other Europe albums, and it is hard. I think if anything, I'm going to have to order them from overseas if I do get them. But they are very good musicians. They do have talent. There might be some people that might, that may have written them off as just a hair band that were more concerned about their looks, but they had talent. They definitely had talent, and over 25 million albums sold. I mean, you can't go wrong there, can you? And this was the album that just broke them, as I said. But the thing with Europe is that they are still going today. They are still playing to this very day, which is a great achievement. As I said, considering that they started off in 1979, and they're very lucky to win a Swedish rock competition, and well, the rest is history, isn't it? So, if you like your nice melodic hard rock, with nice keyboards and not too aggressive guitars. Well, Europe is a way. It's very safe. That's what I'm trying to say. Europe is a very safe band. It's not too full on or anything like that. Actually, it's not full on at all, to be honest. If you want to compare it to someone, you can compare it to, Bon Jovi, early Bon Jovi stuff. That's a good comparison. Early Bon Jovi. Great band, and as I said, it's good to see that they're still going to this very day, and they've released quite a few albums after this one. I remember reading on the internet they actually released two albums that were very retro, that they actually sounded sort of music like the 70s, those rock bands of the 70s actually sort of went back in time and changed their musical style and did a few really retro type albums, which would have been interesting to hear. So hopefully one day I could take a listen to that. So there we go, Europe. As I said, great band. Now the next albums we'll take a look at will be, let's see, I think I might do Warrant, the band Warrant. Now they were big, very big, back in the late 80s, early 90s. They had that massive song Cherry Pie. We all know that's, well, if you don't know it, you'll soon remember it when I talk to you about it. Big hair glam band, and they really did well for themselves. So we'll take a look at Warrant next. So until then, everyone be safe, look after yourself, and keep in touch with other people. And as always, thank you for watching. Always a pleasure. As I said before, I love doing this. And keep rocking, as Europe is to this very day. Keep rocking. Bye-bye.